"I should go scout," she said abruptly. "I'll be back." We listened to her footsteps echo down the stairwell. "She's hiding something," Carter said. "Worked that out yourself, did you?" I asked. He looked away, and immediately I felt bad. "I'm sorry," I said. "It's just, what are we going to do? Rescue Dad? What else can we do?" He picked up his wand and turned it in his fingers. "Do you think he really meant to, bring Mom back?" I wanted to say yes more than anything. I wanted to believe that was possible, but I found myself shaking my head. Something about it didn't seem right. "Iskandar told me something about Mum," I said. "She was a diviner. She could see the future. He said she made him rethink some old ideas." It was my first chance to tell Carter about my conversation with the old magician, so I gave him the details. Carter knitted his eyebrows. "You think that has something to do with why Mum died? She saw something in the future?" "I don't know. I tried to think back to when I was 6, but my memory was frustratingly fuzzy. When they took us to England last time, did she and Dad seem like they were in a hurry, like they were doing something really important?" "Definitely." "Would you say freeing Bast was really important? I mean, I love her, of course, but worth dying for important?" Carter hesitated. "Probably not." "Well, there you are. I think Dad and Mum were up to something bigger, something they didn't complete. Possibly that's what Dad was after at the British Museum, completing the task. Whatever it was, making things right. And this whole business about our family going back 1 billion years to some god-hosting pharaohs, why didn't anyone tell us? Why didn't Dad?" Carter didn't answer for a long time. "Maybe Dad was protecting us," he said. "The House of Life doesn't trust our family, especially after what Dad and Mom did. Amos said we were raised apart for a reason, so we wouldn't, trigger each other's magic." "That's an awful reason to keep us apart," I muttered. Carter looked at me strangely, and I realized what I'd said might have been construed as a compliment. "I just mean they should have been honest," I rushed on. "Not that I wanted more time with my annoying brother, of course." He nodded seriously. "Of course." We sat listening to the magic hum of the obelisk. I tried to remember the last time Carter and I had simply spent time like this together, talking. "Is your, I tapped the side of my head. "Your friend been any help?" "Not much," he admitted. "Yours?" I shook my head. "Carter, are you scared?" "A little." He dug his wand into the carpet. "No, a lot." I looked at the blue book we'd stolen, pages full of wonderful secrets I couldn't read. "What if we can't do it?" "I don't know," he said. "That book about mastering the element of cheese would have been more helpful. Or summoning fruit bats." "Please, not the fruit bats." We shared a weary smile, and it felt rather good, but it changed nothing. We were still in serious trouble, with no clear plan. "Why don't you sleep on it?" he suggested. "You used a lot of energy today. I'll keep watch until Bast gets back." He actually sounded concerned for me. How cute. I didn't want to sleep. I didn't want to miss anything, but I realized my eyelids were incredibly heavy. "All right then," I said. "Don't let the bedbugs bite." I lay down to sleep, but my soul, my bar, had other ideas. 20. I visit the star-spangled goddess. I hadn't realized how unsettling it would be. Carter had explained how his bar left his body while he slept, but having it happen to me was another thing altogether. It was much worse than my vision in the Hall of Ages. There I was, floating in the air as a glowing bird-like spirit, and there was my body below me, fast asleep. Just trying to describe it gives me a headache. My first thought as I gazed down on my sleeping form: God, I look awful. Bad enough looking in a mirror or seeing pictures of myself on my friends' web pages. Seeing myself in person was simply wrong. My hair was a rat's nest, the linen pyjamas were not in the least flattering, and the spot on my chin was enormous. My second thought as I examined the strange shimmering form of my bar: this won't do at all. I didn't care if I was invisible to the mortal eye or not. After my bad experience as a kite, I simply refused to go about as a glowing sadie-headed chicken. It's fine for Carter, but I have standards. I could feel the currents of the duat tugging at me, trying to pull my bar to wherever souls go when they have visions, but I wasn't ready. I concentrated hard and imagined my normal appearance. Well, all right, perhaps my appearance as I'd like it to be, a bit better than normal. And voila! My bar morphed into a human form, still see-through and glowing, mind you, but more like a proper ghost. Well, at least that's sorted, I thought, and I allowed the currents to sweep me away. The world melted to black. At first, I was nowhere, just a dark void. Then a young man stepped out of the shadows. "You again?" he said. I stammered. Honestly, you know me well enough by now. That's not like me. But this was the boy I'd seen in my Hall of Ages vision, the very handsome boy with the black robes and tousled hair. His dark brown eyes had the most unnerving effect on me, and I was very glad I'd changed out of my glowing chicken outfit. I tried again and managed 3 entire words. "What are you doing here?" he said, gallantly finishing my sentence. "Spirit, travel and death are very similar." "Not sure what that means," I said. "Should I be worried?" He tilted his head as if considering the question. "Not this trip. She only wants to talk to you. Go ahead." He waved his hand and a doorway opened in the darkness. I was pulled towards it. "See you again?" I asked, but the boy was gone. I found myself standing in a luxury flat in the middle of the sky. It had no walls, no ceiling, and a see-through floor, looking straight down at city lights from the height of an aeroplane. Clouds drifted below my feet. The air should have been freezing cold and too thin to breathe, but I felt warm and comfortable. Black leather sofas made a U round a glass coffee table on a blood-red rug. A fire burned in a slate fireplace. Bookshelves and paintings hovered in the air where the walls should have been. A black granite bar stood in the corner, and in the shadows behind it, a woman was making tea. "Hello, my child," she said. She stepped into the light, and I gasped. She wore an Egyptian kilt from the waist down. From the waist up, she wore only a bikini top, and her skin was dark blue, covered with stars. I don't mean painted stars. She had the entire cosmos living on her skin, gleaming constellations, galaxies too bright to look at, glowing nebulae of pink and blue dust. Her features seemed to disappear into the stars that shifted across her face. Her hair was long and as black as midnight. "You're the nut," I said. Then I realized maybe that had come out wrong. "I mean, the sky goddess." The goddess smiled. Her bright white teeth were like a new galaxy bursting into existence. "Nut is fine, and believe me, I've heard all the jokes about my name." She poured a second cup from her teapot. "Let's sit and talk. Care for some salad?" It's not tea." "No, an Egyptian drink. You've heard of hot chocolate. This is rather like hot vanilla." I would have preferred tea, as I hadn't had a proper cup in ages, but I suppose one didn't turn down a goddess. Yeah, thanks." We sat together on the sofa. To my surprise, my glowing, spirity hands had no trouble holding a teacup, and I could drink quite easily. The salad was sweet and tasty, with just a hint of cinnamon and coconut. It warmed me up nicely, and filled the air with the smell of vanilla. For the first time in days, I felt safe. Then I remembered I was only here in spirit. Nut set down her cup. "I suppose you're wondering why I've brought you here." "Where exactly is here? And, who's your doorman?" I hoped she'd drop some information about the boy in black, but she only smiled. "I must keep my secrets, dear. I can't have the House of Life trying to find me. Let's just say I've built this home with a nice city view." "Is that—" I gestured to her starry blue skin. Are you inside a human host?" "No, dear. The sky itself is my body. This is merely a manifestation." "But I thought gods need a physical host outside the duat. It's somewhat easier for me, being a spirit of the air. I was one of the few gods who was never imprisoned, because the House of Life could never catch me." I'm used to being freeform. Suddenly Nat and the entire apartment flickered. I felt like I would drop through the floor. Then the sofa became stable again. Please don't do that again, I begged. My apologies, Nat said. The point is, each god is different, but all my brethren are free for now. All finding places in this modern world of yours, they won't be imprisoned again. The magicians won't like that. No, Nat agreed. That's the first reason you are here. A battle between the gods and the House of Life would serve only chaos. You must make the magicians understand this. They won't listen to me. They think I'm a godling. You are a godling, dear. She touched my hair gently, and I felt Isis stirring within me, struggling to speak using my voice. I'm Sadie Kane, I said. I didn't ask for Isis to hitch a ride. The gods have known your family for generations, Sadie. In the olden days, we worked together for the benefit of Egypt. The magicians said that gods caused the fall of the empire. That is a long and pointless debate, Nat said, and I could hear an edge of anger in her voice. All empires fall, but the idea of Egypt is eternal. The triumph of civilization. The forces of Ma'at overcome the forces of chaos. That battle is fought generation after generation. Now, it's your turn. I know, I said. We have to defeat Set. But is it that simple, Sadie? Set is my son too. In the old days, he was Ra's strongest lieutenant. He protected the sun god's boat from the serpent Apophis. Now there was evil. Apophis was the embodiment of chaos. He hated creation. From the moment the first mountain appeared out of the sea, he hated the gods, mortals, and everything they built. And yet Set fought against him. Set was one of us. Then he turned evil? Nut shrugged. Set has always been Set, for better or worse, but he is still part of our family. It is difficult to lose any member of your family, is it not? My throat tightened. That's hardly fair. Don't speak to me of fairness, Nut said. For 5,000 years I have been kept apart from my husband, Geb. I vaguely remembered Carter saying something about this, but it seemed different listening to her now, hearing the pain in her voice. What happened? I asked. Punishment for bearing my children, she said bitterly. I disobeyed Ra's wishes, and so he ordered my own father. Shh. Hang on, I said. Shoo. Ah, she said. The god of the wind. Oh. I wish these gods had names that weren't common household objects. Go on, please. Ra ordered my father, Shu, to keep us apart. Forever. I am exiled to the sky while my beloved Geb cannot leave the ground. What happens if you try? Nut closed her eyes and spread her hands. A hole opened where she was sitting, and she fell through the air. Instantly the clouds below us flickered with lightning. Winds raged across the flat, throwing books off the shelves, ripping away paintings and flinging them into the void. My teacup leaped out of my hand. I grabbed the sofa to avoid getting blown away myself. Below me, lightning struck Nut's form. The wind pushed her violently upward, shooting past me. Then the winds died. Nut settled back onto the couch. She waved her hand and the flat repaired itself. Everything returned to normal. That happens, she said sadly. Oh. She gazed at the city lights far below. It has given me appreciation for my children, even Set. He has done horrible things, yes. It is his nature, but he is still my son, and still one of the gods. He acts his part. Perhaps the way to defeat him is not the way you would imagine. Hints, please? Seek out Thoth. He has found a new home in Memphis. Memphis, Egypt. Nut smiled. Memphis, Tennessee. Although the old bird probably thinks it is Egypt. He so rarely takes his break out of his books. I doubt he would know the difference. You will find him there. He can advise you. Be wary, though. Thoth often asks for favours. He is sometimes hard to predict.